connection complete. I'm Julia, your host.
Mary Beth Patricus, Mama Bear Productions.
Beth Notarius, Certified Grief Recovery Specialist.
We are at the Brighton Chamber at 218 East Grand River here in Brighton. And today our guest is Tim Wessel of Thrive Coaching. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about coaching, counseling, and the opioid epidemic, drug epidemic in general. We were just talking about our first guest we had on for our show here was a representative from an opioid addiction
Fan.
fan.
Families
Okay.
against narcotics.
Yes.
Families Against Narcotics.
Absolutely, and so it's quite interesting to talk now again about stigma and the need for counseling, and essentially what you do is take people from brokenness to wholeness, and that plays such a big part in the issue our community is having with drugs. So your website, thrivecoaching.net, is saying how you do coaching, counseling, and consulting. Can you tell our viewers the difference between the counseling and the coaching?
Yes, absolutely. So traditional counseling, which is where I've spent most of my days in the church, at Brighton Nazarene Church, doing counseling for families coming in seeking care from brokenness and divorce and addiction and just emotional crisis. That's usually when we meet them. When it gets so bad, help, they come in. Some people in some environments of healing, they get as far as to we no longer fight, we no longer are using, and that's kind of the end game of their healing. And so realize that, I saw people through my own eyes and my own past and said, no, there's way more than this, like keep going. And so coaching really kind of transitions from a backward looking, the dysfunction, the past, the hurt that you carried. Once we get some real healing, we want to move forward and have a forward focus.
Yeah.
That says, what is my divine design? Who was I meant to be? What are my gifts and skills? And instead of saying, well, you get a job at McDonald's, you'll be good. Like, no, what if you owned your own business? What if, you did way more than that? So really just pushing people and coaching people to reach their full potential. And it's less likely they're going to go back to some of those old dysfunctions when they're focused on something sort of more meaningful and more powerful, and they're not just sitting around twiddling their fingers hoping not to use again, which often can happen.
So you have your own story, and there is a video in thrivecoaching.net, which is Tim's website. But if you could touch base on that briefly as to why you're so passionate about helping people, and especially people that many have given up on.
Yeah, I think because of where I was. I lived this. My story is online. That was made almost by accident by a college professor who got a hold of my story and made it. And it thrust me into sharing my story in high schools and around the world, around the country, and I've been very, very busy at that. But it keeps me also connected to the truth of my own story, that there was a day that I was alone, I was abandoned, I was addicted, I was a criminal, I was broken in every way, and tried to give up on my life, tried to end my life, and was intercepted by somebody who cared, who helped me get my life turned around and get a new life. So now I'm living this beautifully blessed life, and I just feel responsible to reach back and help people that are in that place I was. I felt alone. I thought everyone's going to judge me. I'm not worthy of help. I just had a really, really broken self-image, and so I'm really passionate about finding people in that place. And I've had the privilege of helping so many folks who came in, their suicide note in their pocket, ready to give up, and they said, you don't understand what I've done. You don't understand what's been done to me. And I can't understand their story, but I can share mine and say, but I know that it's not the end. I know there's more for you. And people can sense whether you've read it in a book or you've lived it, so there's not a person I've ever met I didn't believe that for. And so to me, I see, raw, untapped potential, and I get really excited, like I really get to do this with you and be a part of this. So I'm incredibly passionate. Now I have an army of friends that came from that place that are now giving back. I just did a training for Second Chance Support Network, and I looked out and saw 5 people who came through our doors, from prison, from brokenness, and now they have jobs, they're working in several ministries and doing things, giving back to the community, and they're healthy, and their relationships are healthy, and so there's, that's worth all the money in the world to me, to be able to be a part of that in some way.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tim, with all of the passion that you bring to helping with the community, how long and in what ways have you been specifically with our community involved with the drug epidemic?
Yeah, thank you. So I was a drug addict. I'd sniff gasoline in my shed if I couldn't find something to use that day. I walked around with 2 pockets full of pills at all times, and I used every drug I could find, and was very, very, very addicted to just being high, to try to numb out and go away. So again, as I got to sobriety, it's something I'm passionate about, something I help with. I started at Bright Nazarene Church and was a youth pastor. We had a skate park. We'd interact with families and kids that sometimes had some of these issues, and I was always like, yeah, I'll talk to them. And so it's almost just naturally, people were sending people to me and I was helping. But early on, years ago, I realized this is overwhelming. There's more people than I can even get to. So I actually eventually left our student ministries and started a Celebrate Recovery ministry and did that entirely full time. And in that journey, 10 years, 12 years ago, when people didn't know heroin was in Livingston County, it was. I was dealing with those families on the front end of the epidemic and poured my life into it, and actually felt like it was a God thing, that I had started that and was doing this at a church where nobody was doing it, and then the real epidemic unfolded, and I had equipped a ministry with hundreds of people that could give back. So I was grateful that early on.
Set up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it would have been overwhelming. And it still is, obviously, but yeah, it just kind of naturally happened. So I've walked people through detox programs, finding the resources for help, intervention. I'm an intervention specialist, so I do a lot of interventions all over the country. I'll fly out for those sometimes, depending on the family. So really involved from, hey, Johnny's got a problem, Mom's got a problem, Dad's got a problem, what do we do? To begin to talk about what are good options, how do we get them help, how do we love them, how does the whole family get help? Because obviously everybody ends up sick. So we want to help the people that were stuck in the manipulation and the dysfunction that are also sick. How do we all get well together and move forward and heal our families? So I've been in it for a long, long time. It really took over my entire life. I had to hire somebody just to answer the phone because the phone was ringing so much. And I'm out there. I go in community mental health, and I go to Catholic Charities, and I get out and just tell people, hey, let's help each other. I love Livingston County. I love our community. I think we have great people in a lot of different environments doing the same thing. So I'm a connector, so I just went out and made some relationships. So been right in the heart of it for a long, long time. I speak and teach and travel and do some of that as well, just to help people.
Very nice. Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to talk more about some advice, answer some of these questions, and you're going to do some teaching, which you're so great at. So we'll be back after this message from our sponsors. Welcome back to Connection Complete. We're continuing our conversation here with Tim Wessel of Thrive Coaching, and I'd like you now to do a little bit of coaching. Can you give our viewers some advice if they know someone or are struggling themselves with drug addiction?
Yeah, I would say, the first and foremost is to understand you're not alone. Obviously, we all see that it's the leading cause of death in our country, and it's a national epidemic, according to the president now, and so it's nothing to hide in the dark and be ashamed of or embarrassed of. It hits every family, and especially, I sent somebody the other day to some help, and he was like, I'm afraid. I said, they've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of people exactly like you. And he called me back and was overwhelmed that it wasn't embarrassing and they didn't shame him. And so I think first and foremost to know they're not alone. There's lots of people that you can reach out to that are at the front lines waiting for the phone to ring so they can help a family. So I would encourage people to reach out and get some help and know that they're not alone. There's a whole community of folks trying to work on this and help each other to get there. And there's people making it. And if it's related to the opiate epidemic, of course, it's also life and death. You can think, well, it's going to work itself out, and you can wait and you wait and you wait. I've lost friends. I've lost a lot of friends that were in that place. So don't wait. Get help today. If nothing else, you begin to develop a plan. But to fail to plan is to plan to fail, as they say. So I think we need to do something. Reach out for help and get started.
So what are you doing currently, and how can people find you if they need your help?
Yeah, so currently, as we discussed, I do counseling and coaching, and we do some consulting for businesses and nonprofits as well. But the counseling, as we said, works with the dysfunctional part of folks and getting them well. I do counseling for drug addicts, I do counseling for divorces, people addicted, sex addictions. There's a wide variety of brokenness, and we really do pour our lives into all those folks at Families Forward Counseling Center, where I do my coaching and counseling. So I do that, and then on that continuum of care, as I said, we then go into a coaching model. I do coaching for folks who came from the brokenness, came from the dysfunction, but many people come through our front doors who want to be coached. They're a professional, they own a business, they have private jets, and they know that coaching is something you do at that level to up-level yourself. Many of them come through the doors for one thing, and we get involved in other areas of their life. And there's a counseling element that often evolves as what's holding you back? Why are you afraid to take that risk? Why are you burying yourself in work and not dealing with what's going on at home? So it's pretty exciting for me that I think we all have elements of brokenness and dysfunction that we need help in, and some people aren't willing to do that. So we meet people that are really accomplished, really successful, doing really well in a lot of areas of their life, and we all have room to grow. So we're able to help those folks, and sometimes realize that maybe they're doing great, but their sister isn't, or one of their children isn't, and so we have a continuum of care to meet their needs wherever they're at.
So if they have someone in their family that's dealing with issues, whether it's opiate addiction or whatnot, then they're in there to get your help to help them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We probably do more work on the front end with a spouse or a parent that's dealing with someone who hasn't taken that step yet. So we get a lot of those kind of phone calls, and we begin a journey of helping them get the tools they need. We do interventions, we do things like that, and help design those and plan those for them so they can get their loved one help.
Nice.
I love that whole journey from
Brokenness.
brokenness to wholeness, and it actually seems to go beyond the wholeness into purpose and peace and passion, and part of the way to get there is to circle back to the brokenness, because it's always there. Yeah, now that is, I love the circular motion of that. What is if you had one message that you wanted to leave our viewers with, what would that be?
Yeah, I think the one thing I wish every person knew, just so you're never alone, that there are loving, kind, gracious, beautiful people out there. I almost killed a pastor who knocked at my door when I was trying to end my life because I just did not trust the soul and thought nobody can help me. And he turned out to be the greatest help I ever had in my life once my barriers came down. So I would tell anyone out there who's hurting, struggling in their homes with addiction, with brokenness, with divorce, with a marriage that isn't thriving, don't just stay there and say this is as good as it's going to get, or it's embarrassing to tell someone I'm hurting. I think as we discussed, we're in a rich, vibrant community full of really, really great services and great people, and they're not sitting back going, don't bother me. We want to be bothered. We want to help. We want to care. We want to get you through to the other side. So I would encourage everyone to take a step toward help, and if they came through my door and I had a chance to help them, if I didn't have the tools to help this specific need they had, I know someone who does, I guarantee it. We're a small, tight-knit community, and we're all moving forward. We want a healthy, community that's doing well and thriving. And so take the first step, ask for help.
Thriving.
Don't feel alone, do not feel alone. If I'm the only person on earth that's gonna love you, I've not met a person I can't love yet. But I believe that there's a lot of folks like me, I'm not unique. I think.
The thing is too, is that if you refer them to somebody else, all of this is confidential, it is, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, it's absolutely confidential. I mean, we're a counseling office, I was a
Yeah.
pastor, so everything I do is confidential.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't just refer them to somebody, I would say, hey, what are your needs, and here's some people, would you like to call them, and then it's off, I'm not involved, you know, I'd let them care for it. If they wanna stay in a relationship with me, that's up to them, depending on what it
The
is.
people you trust, because otherwise you wouldn't refer them to
Yeah,
them.
no.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. I do a lot of faith-based programs, you know, so I came from a church, so I prefer some of those, but not all of my clients do. So, you know, we navigate that, you know, I'm dealing with some people that are of a different faith. And so I'm trying to get them some help, and I'm saying, well, let's look at the different options and what feels good to you. And so I don't take the power away from anybody. I want them to be empowered to make their choices and to find their answers and not manipulate that or coerce that in any way. So I think it's really important that you hear and listen and understand what their journey is. Some programs are a year long. I prefer those, you know, when you're really hurting. I think it's good and healthy, but not everyone can do that. So, you know, we're really careful to listen and hear what they need and custom design, you know, what the next steps will be and give them options.
Great.
Thank you, Tim. I really feel like this season has been completed, that we've come full circle from
Connection complete.
talking about all of these issues surrounded by stigma oftentimes, and we all are broken, we all have hurt inside of us. So, you know, to have someone in the community like you, like yourself, you've been there, we've all been there, and it's good to have someone to, you know, reach out to. And, you know, even yourself at one point, you know, you didn't have God in your life, and so you can relate to someone who doesn't want to go to a faith-based program. And, you know, that's an awesome thing, because a lot of people have such a hard time when they're broken to be able to have a connection with God. So I think if you could let our viewers know, well, let me let our viewers know how to bother you.
Please.
Tim Wessel of Thrive Coaching. His office is at the Centers for Christian Counselors, and that's at 4763 South Old US 23 in Suite A in Brighton, and the zip is 48114. You can also reach them by phone at 810-360-8525, or you can email Tim at coachtim@thrivecoaching.net. All that information will be provided here on screen for our viewers. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And please go to the website. Please see Tim's story. It will move you to tears. So have your Kleenex is ready. Thank you for helping to reduce some stigma in the community, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.